Okay, hello everyone. My name is Audrey. I'm currently a medical student here in the Philippines. So, for this series, I took the liberty to ask some of my colleagues and friends to answer some of the questions to help aspiring physical therapy students. So, let's welcome Daniel Tabal and Rubin Garcia from Cebu Doctors University. So, would you like to introduce yourselves and ultimately how did you decide to go into physical therapy as the career you want to pursue?
My name is Daniel Valer Itabel. I am a fifth year physical therapy student in Cebu Doctors University. So yeah, I'm an intern in Cebu Doctors University.
What are the three things that excite you about being a physical therapist? So why do you love what you're doing right now?
The three things kay kuan kanang I really like sports. So I played flag football and other kinds of sports even when I was in high school, and I just really like playing for teams. And murag when I learned that physical therapists kay mo they engage themselves in sports because they know the mechanics of the body, the how the body moves and all. So murag I was really interested with to becoming a physical therapist. And then I also like going to the gym. I like fitness and moto. I also heard that if you go to the States, it has a big pay. So
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so Kamo, if you would like to pick another field, what do you think it would be?
Because we're already like Val and I, and as well as other physical therapists, not just in CDU but also in Velas, because we're already so neck deep into the curriculum and so neck deep into what it's actually about. Like I personally can't imagine myself being anywhere else because of the time that I've invested into it, as well as all of the efforts everyone has invested in it. I can't really imagine being anywhere else. It's a good and noble profession to be in.
Okay, so that's good. So why do you think colleges fail to inspire students to go into physical therapy school? Because there are not a lot of medical students that know there is a doctorate of physical therapy route rather than going to the MD route.
Okay, so that was actually one of the considerations that I was thinking about when I first got into physical therapy, because like you said, there's not schools here in the Philippines, or there's not a lot of talk about what it is to be a physical therapist and all the other choices you can have aside from proceeding to med. So we actually have the choice to consider finishing with a doctorate degree, and so that's also one of the advantages, and probably one of the reason why it's not as talked about is probably because it's not offered here in the Philippines. Like there's only very minimal schools, and it's only up to this year or last year I think that Southwestern University has decided to offer a doctorate in conjunction with Utica College, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true. Okay, so can you tell us a brief background of the course? So were you able to take an entrance exam before enrolling? So how many years does it take for a physical therapy course to be completed sa new curriculum?
So when I transferred to Cebu Doc, I took an exam. So usually it's just a basic like math, science, English, whatever. So the old curriculum it took 5 years to complete physical therapy, but I think the new curriculum, I think 4 years naman siguro, but then they had to really change the curriculum of physical therapy. It's like really something new. So when I heard that the new curriculum, they I think included kanang reading X-rays and all. I'm not sure about
radio,
that. Yeah. But yeah, so So when I learned about that, I felt like maybe we could, like the old curriculum, maybe we could have like a seminar about this, since I think it's very important reading X-rays and films. So yeah.
The subject actually for the like in reading radiographs is called imaging. I think it's something that even us students that have had the old curriculum should include, or we should have seminars about it, because it's really important to read X-rays and to understand like where the point of sample for a fracture, like where the point of the breakup is. So it's I think advantage to have for physical therapy graduate.
Yeah, okay. So what does a typical day of your classes look like? Like from your lectures? Do you have any practical exams, any school organizations?
So pre-COVID, the same lang. I think it's the same as any other college. So you have a specific class at a specific time and at a specific place. So in CDU, there's a few different floors. So let's say we would have a class at room 301 at a specific time, let's say at 8 a.m. And then some would have a few minutes break in between, and then so forth until we're done for the day. So this class schedule was pre-COVID. So now that it's COVID, I'm sure it's a lot different for students now, especially with adjustments to the new curriculum.
Yeah, okay, that's very true. So does your school also put a priority to mental health?
Yeah, I think we have a guidance counselor for that, and yeah, so like the school really just bombards us with a lot of exams in a day. So so they provided a guidance counselor, but I think students don't go to that since we have like another way of like venting out our frustrations and all. So we usually go to Ferdies. I'm just kidding. We just usually drink milk tea and also to be happy. The rooms.
I agree 100% with that.
Okay, so would you like to talk about the advantages and disadvantages lang of CDU as to the tuition, about the location, the curriculum, and then what are the rotations during your internship and the types of rehab settings you were actually exposed to?
Okay, so I'll answer maybe half of this question and Val can continue on to answer.
Yeah.
So talking about wise, I can definitely say, because I also studied in Velas prior to staying in CDU, I can definitely say that CDU is pricier and it's a bit more further also because Velas is situated right in the middle of the city. It's in Ramos area and CDU is all the way to Mandaue. So it's a bit more further, but really it just depends on where your house is. So Val lives in Lasión, so of course the prime place for her to be would be at CDU. I, however, live in the city, so the prime place for me would actually be in Velas. But so yeah, so I guess it also depends on where you're living and like what you're comfortable with. Like if you're comfortable traveling further, or if you would just want to be situated near your household. So you know, it really just depends on where you're at. Tuition wise, Velas, if I remember, was in around 30 to 40,000 pesos a semester, if I remember. Yeah, and then CDU is around 40 to 50,000 pesos a semester. So, you know, you have to consider the price points of the school that you in. What else were you asking, Danny? Oh, it's the type of rotations that we had. They vary. They have inpatient and outpatient. When we were in fourth year, we were already exposed to different rotations. So we would have rotations in neuro, we would have rotations that had geria patients, we would have rotations that had pedia patients. So as early as fourth year clinics, we would already have these types of interactions with different types of patients from different walks of life.
So when it comes to the place, I think it's more advantageous for me since I live in the north part of Cebu and it's quite near compared to Velas. It's just like Velas is too far and I don't like the environment of Velas. It's too stressful.
School has any I think your school has offshore or international connections wherein you can shadow a PT outside the Philippines. Is that true?
Yes, and CB international. So what you do is you talk to your clinical supervisor, or for us that's actually Miss A. So you would tell her that you have the intention to continue your internship abroad. So you would need to file your visa. You would also need to file like all of your paperwork by yourself, and you will be backed up by CDU. They will help you with all of the process so that you can consider an international internship, should that be something that you would want to consider.
Can you also enumerate the hospitals in which the students will have an exposure to during internship? like I think PGH, you're also connected to PGH, right? UPPGH, CDUH.
Yeah, that was actually
yeah.
an intern in Philippine General Hospital. We're also affiliated with East Avenue Medical Center, also different types of centers and hospitals in and around Cebu City. We're also affiliated with hospitals in Iloilo, if I'm not mistaken. There's also a few in Cagayan and a few other rotations in and around the Philippines.
Also, Tacloban.
Oh yeah, Tacloban.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were to proceed to medical school, what do you think are the most useful subjects?
I think in PT, we're so well versed in anatomy and physiology. So I think that would be a good practice. Also in CDU, we've had experiences with cadavers. So
Yeah.
I think that's also a thing to consider. Like it's a good advantage to have in your arsenal. So we're also super stringent on neuro subjects, especially because we're constantly dealing with patients that have neurological impairments and that have neurological problems to begin with. So yeah, I think that's an advantage in when you study physical therapy. Ikaw, Val?
Yeah, for me, like I think the gross anatomy and physiology is I think the most important subject in the PT course. It's really very important in becoming a doctor, since I think pre-med courses, I think we have really intensive knowledge about gross anatomy, and this is a very important subject if you want to really delve into like surgery or like orthopedic surgery. I think that gross and physio.
Okay, so are there any extra subjects that you think you will have to take in order for you to pursue your careers offshore, like CWT6, CWT5?
If ultimately, a lot of us physical therapists really want the goal to leave the country, really want to experience what physical therapy is like in much more developed countries like the US, like Canada, like Australia, and the like. And so from what I know and what I've researched about, the States is usually they actually have a prerequisite now that you should be your bachelor's degree should be equivalent to CWT6. So CWT6 stands for Tool 6, and unfortunately for the curriculum that we have, or from the curriculum that we've graduated in, it's CWT5. So there would be additional subjects that you would have to take in order for you to get CWT6. So some of the subjects would have imaging, like the one that Val talked about. Yeah, you would have to take imaging, but all of this is unstructured yet because we're again in the middle of a pandemic, and there's a lot of different things that we have to consider, especially from the country that we originated in, because I know some other physical therapists have been grandfathered in the US, so even though they just graduated WT5, they were already considered to have a bachelor's degree in the US. But again, the requisites are different for each state. So from what I know, New York still accepts CWT5 graduates of physical therapy until 2021 or 2022.
Okay.
Yeah. Get extra subjects for CWT6, or it's either you can proceed to taking TDT, or a transitional doctor of physical therapy, which takes approximately 16 to 18 months, and it's now offered in Southwestern University in conjunction with Utica College, or you can take it in online universities affiliated in the US.
So what type of advice do you want to give to aspiring physical therapy students right now?
If you really want to be a good physical therapist, you have to really appreciate what you're studying, and just really put it into heart, like what you're studying, because that's the bread and butter of your career. And if you want to be a really good physical therapist, then you have to read all the time. You have to know what you're doing, and study smart. Yeah.
Okay. So do you have anything to promote? Any social media accounts that you would like to promote?
None for me, but you guys should follow us guys on Instagram. She's very active about like fitness and cooking. So if you guys want content, that involve, you know, going to the gym, like really good recipes, you guys should follow Val on Instagram. She's your all around girl.
Okay.
No. I'm too lazy now.
You guys follow
Okay, so thank you so much for your time. I know you really inspired future PTs out there listening to this series.